Well, an open question for both of you then. A bit of background on Harpenden Town under-18s. What league does the team play in?
So it plays in the Southern Counties Youth Floodlit League is its official title.
Ah, I see. What other teams sort of play in that league too?
So there's 4 divisions, and the divisions are divided up primarily geographically. I think there's the Corinthian, the Olympian, the Nemean, and I forget the 4th one. So you're testing my knowledge, and it's pretty poor. Apologies, and my memory. The division that we were in this year had teams like Hemel, Leverstock Green, Kings Langley. We had a side from Hammersmith, but they actually played at the Sun Postal ground in Watford. We also had Colney Heath and London Colney, I believe, as well. Yeah. So they're all quite. I mean, this year, I think, Chris, it was probably fair to say geographically we were in a better situated league where we didn't have too much travelling. Whereas the previous year we were going up to Newport Pagnell, Leighton, etc. But no, it's a great league, and we've been pleased with the progress, and we've been pleased being part of that league. It's well run.
I see. And for both of you, how long have you two been involved at the club?
We started this is our 2nd season. So we started last season. Harpenden Town hadn't actually had an under-18 side for, I think, probably 10 years nearly, or something, quite a long time. So Jes and I are both involved with Harpenden Colts, running age groups for Harpenden Colts. And we sort of had good links with a lot of the other Harpenden Colts coaches. So we kind of put the idea forward to Harpenden Colts and said, we'd like to do this with Harpenden Town, would you support it? So it's kind of been a bit of a sort of joint venture between Harpenden Colts and Harpenden Town. So most of the boys actually all play, well, pretty much 90-95% play for Harpenden Colts. So we sort of, there are, I think, 5 or 6 under-18 squads, maybe 7 actually, 7 under-18 squads, and we sort of have boys from 4 of those squads probably, and then we also take boys. We've got a few boys come over from St Albans, and we've got under-18s, under-17s, and a few under-16s.
I see. And you're referencing some of the players there. Have any gone on to play at high levels or some great success in the future?
We've not, because this is only our 2nd season. So literally the first season, the group, we actually were all under 17s. So none of the boys have actually kind of finished with us yet, if you like. Yeah. But we've got some boys that we think are of a good enough standard, certainly, to play Harpenden Town or higher. I think we've got some very good players. But remains to be seen where they end up. But we've got a few boys. One lad, what's Sim's surname?
Sim Mellor, yeah. I know Sim. Oh gosh,
Simeon James.
Simeon James. Thank you.
Yeah. So he's, he's taken his coaching badges, and he's really keen to sort of play at the best level he can, and he does a lot, helps us a lot with the coaching side of it as well. So he's definitely one that I think could definitely sort of play for Harpenden Town in the future, or go on and do things at a coaching level. Really good, you're really good, nice young lad, real gent, and a very good coaching and very confident at a young age.
Yeah. Does that sort of reflect on the whole team as an overall, this is Harpenden Town, we are this sort of calibre of team?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, sorry, Chris, I think for me, if you look at, as Chris explained there, we've got a number of players that have come from the top side of Colts, and a few of them have really come onto their own this season. So the nucleus of the side from last season was a number of under-17s with 1 or 2 that were under-18 year group. So this year, we've supplemented that with other under-17s or another under-16s, and some of the under-17s from last year played for us as under-16s. So they, the nucleus of the side has had 2 seasons now. And as we go into next season, again, we think we've got a good strength of squads to come through for under 18s football that will be the under 17s that are playing this year. But, you know, as Chris says, you know, Sim and others, you know, Chris's own son, Ben, great player, you know, someone that is definitely destined for better football and higher football. And, you know, I think we're very keen, and we're talking to the current first team management team as well, about pushing some of those boys, particularly the boys, as Chris was saying, that are in their last and final year of football, like Sim, like, you know, Ben, for example, like others that we've got in the squad, to push them through into the first team. And I think there's a few others in the under 17 age group that can definitely stand their own as well.
Sounds great. And have you had success, you know, in just general winning games in the past few seasons?
The first season was a real challenge because, as Jes sort of said, first season we were all under 16 stroke under 17s, so we only had a couple of under 18s, so it was a really tough first season. But we had some good performances, not great results. This season, with the boys a year older and having a more balanced squad across the age groups, so we're, you know, a mix of 17s and 18s. Results have been a lot better. So I think we've won, 2 out of 4 league games. We had a really good match in the FA Youth Cup. I think definitely we can see the adjustment of the sort of raising the, you know, boys that are used to playing on Sunday league football, where you might come across 3 or 4 good players in a team, but you're not coming across 11 players sort of higher caliber. So that adjustment to playing, you know, week in, week out against strong sides where there are not as many weaknesses as there would be in a regular Sunday side, the boys have adjusted to that definitely and stepped up.
Great, I see. Now, how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your squad directly?
Yeah, well, I think the boys have been, you know, we stay in contact through WhatsApp groups, and Jes has been taking some of the boys doing like a bit of one-to-one training since we sort of got word that the situation was being eased. So I think the feedback we've had is that the boys, you know, are desperate to start playing again, to get out. They really missed the football. They missed the camaraderie, the training, as well as the matches, you know. But I think it's the whole package that they've missed. You know, I've got 2 of my sons, you know, play for the under 8 Harpenden Town, and one's under 17, one's under 18, and I know, you know, from direct experience that they, you know, they're just desperate to start playing. I think, you know, being at that, it's bad enough for all of us, but at that age to be kind of locked indoors for months on end, I think, you know, that it can't come soon enough for them. And I think, you know, I'm not saying there's sort of long-term damage there, but I think had it continued for much longer, I think there was serious sort of, you know, issues with mental well-being, because their confidence gets knocked. It then gets harder to encourage them to go outside and do things. They become used to just sort of, you know, not being active and not sitting down. And, you know, my eldest son, Ben, he was going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. He was training twice a week. He was playing midweek and Sundays, you know, very active, and gone from that sort of, as well as school matches, you know, to go from that to doing nothing, I think it's really started to affect them. So this, for me, this really can't come soon enough, this sort of resumption of grassroots football.
Yeah, I totally agree, Chris. And I think to build on Chris's points, which are great points, I think, you know, we couldn't build any momentum, Toby, throughout the season, because, you know, there was always chop and changing. The season, quite rightly, last year finished abruptly because we had to, because of COVID. And then obviously we started to get into pre-season. We built up a good level of fitness and momentum at the start of the season. And then again, we had a few, you know, exceptions as we came into the sort of latter part of last calendar year, where we just had to stop things, which really stopped us from building any momentum. I think, as Chris says, the biggest impact I think we're going to have is a lot of the boys in the summer did a lot of hard work on their own personal fitness. As Chris was saying, you know, they went back into the gym. We did a lot of pre-season training with them.
Yeah.
Their fitness levels were exceptional. and then all of a sudden they've had yet another lockdown, and that's really impacted them physically. And you know, I really agree with what Chris. I fear for them mentally as well, because there's some issues that we're going to have to face for that particular age group. You know, they've not had the kind of celebration of finishing a school year, which was their end of their school year as the year 11s. You know, they've kind of lost that exam feeling of year 11s. They've now moved into sixth form and colleges, and you know, they've lost out on a lot of that education as well as the kind of social and football dynamic. And I think we're going to have to be careful on this restart with injuries, that we're going to have to really try and build them up gently, particularly around strength and conditioning, because you don't want to do too much too soon, because we don't want them to become injured, because that's the main thing we want to protect. We want them, as Chris says, playing football.
Yeah. Now, looking a bit after COVID, hopefully, at some point, when things are a bit better, what are the main targets for the under-18s? Because you're saying you've only had them for really a short period of time. So what's the next big milestone for you?
Yeah, well, so we've had, this is our sort of end of our second season, and obviously the first season was interrupted at the end, and the second season's been interrupted sort of halfway through. So I think our targets for next season, as Jes alluded to earlier, we've got, you know, we've had boys now that actually next season will be their third season playing for Harpenden Town under 18. So they started when they were under 16s. So we've got the FA Youth Cup is obviously, you know, the big tournament that we play in. Yeah. We've had two really close. We've unfortunately been knocked out in our first preliminary round last two seasons. You know, I think the real target is to try and get through one or two rounds of the FA Youth Cup would be amazing for next season, which is that's played right at the start of September, our first preliminary round. So hence us doing a really good pre-season, so the boys are ready as soon as we go into that, what is normally our first competitive match of the season. Yeah. We don't know what division, the divisions are regionalised, and so I'm sure they will change again. But you know, first season it was just about performance. This season, really, we just wanted to finish mid-table and sort of win as many games as we lost. And you know, but I think this year, with the squad we've got, the fact that the majority of our squad this year will be under 18s for the first time, you know, I think we're really looking to have a good season in the league, and hopefully one or two rounds in the FA Youth Cup would be amazing.
Yeah. And
yeah, I think just and to build on that as well, as Chris said, I mean that's fantastic if we can achieve that, and that'd be great. And there's no reason why we can't. I think for me, you know, having talked to Steve and Mick and Liam and Rob from the first team, I would like some of the guys that are particularly possibly in their last year of under 18 football this year, so the likes of Ben and Sim, being given a chance in the first team next season. I think, you know, they've definitely got the capability, both of those players, as well as others. And then some of the other lads that are still playing in the under 18s, it'd be good for them to be given an opportunity, whether it's in, you know, the odd cup game. You know, there's various charity cups that the first team play in. It'd be good to try and bed some of those players in, because you know, we feel that they've got some capability. We've had a great chat with Steve and Liam, and they're very keen to be more involved with Chris and I around linking the two sides together, which I think is, you know, we're wholly supportive of, and I think is fantastic.